Don't move. Feel that? The way the air shifts when you walk in, the way the room tries to pretend it's normal, but everything inside it flinches. That's not paranoia. That's physics. That's what happens when something real steps into a world built on performance. They can't even stand next to you anymore. Your energy strips their masks off before they can finish their sentences. It's not your words, it's your frequency. You don't even try, you just exist. And suddenly the liars start stuttering, the cowards start sweating, and the guilty start avoiding your eyes like the truth's been staring back at them. You see, your presence isn't comforting anymore. It's revealing. You used to dim yourself to make others feel safe, didn't you? Smile softly, shrink politely, make yourself palatable for people allergic to authenticity. But something happened. You broke. And in the breaking, something ancient crawled out from inside you. Something that no longer asks for permission to exist. Now your silence is a threat. Your calmness is confrontation. Your stillness, a mirror. 'Cause you don't vibe anymore. You vibrate. You hum at a frequency that forces everything false to either match it or flee from it. And that's why they can't stand next to you. You remind them of everything they've buried. They call it intimidation, but it's exposure. They call you cold, but you're just unreadable. They call you changed, but really, you just stopped lying. You became the contradiction they can't decode. Light wrapped in shadow, empathy sharpened into instinct, a saint with a killer's patience. You don't need to raise your voice to make them nervous. You just have to stand there and see, because that's your gift now. Perception. You don't just look at people, you look through them. You've seen too much to believe in appearances, too deep to be distracted by words. You've looked into the core of human behavior and realized most people don't want to be loved. They want to be approved of. They don't want to be free. They want to be forgiven for their cowardice. And that realization broke something inside you and built something stronger. Now, when you walk into a room, their subconscious starts screaming before they can smile. Their instincts remember something their mouths forgot. Truth burns. You've become a walking confession booth, a living MRI for dishonesty. You don't need to accuse anyone. Their reactions tell you everything. They trip over their own words because your energy doesn't match their mask. They feel stripped, naked, cornered, twitching under a light they can't switch off. You didn't earn this energy by meditating on mountaintops or reciting mantras in peace. You earned it in the fire, through humiliation, rejection, betrayal, and rebirth. You walked through hell so many times, the flames started asking you for mercy. And every time they tried to destroy you, you learned another secret about power. That real power doesn't roar, it whispers. That real dominance doesn't demand, it observes. That real energy doesn't chase, it reveals. You became unpredictable, not because you planned it, but because you stopped following the script. You learned that being unreadable is the most lethal weapon in a world that worships control. You became chaos wrapped in calculation. They can't stand near you because you've evolved past manipulation. They can't guilt you, flatter you, or play games with you anymore. You see too much. Your intuition cuts sharper than their excuses. Your silence makes them confess crimes they haven't even committed yet. That's the beauty of your transformation. You don't punish, you expose. You don't attack, you illuminate. You don't destroy, you reveal what was already decaying beneath the surface. And that's unbearable for them, because you're not just unpredictable, you're uncorruptible. You used to fight for peace, Now you radiate it like a weapon. You used to beg for understanding. Now you're the test they can't pass. You used to chase validation. Now you erase illusions just by existing. You became the paradox that terrifies both angels and demons. Too holy to manipulate, too dark to control. A creature forged from contradiction, a saint sculpted by pain, a devil who remembers heaven too well. When you stand next to someone fake, they start glitching. When you smile, they question their motives. When you listen, they confess things they never meant to say. Your energy is Judgment Day without the sermon. You are what happens when someone stops breaking and starts becoming. Every scar, every betrayal, every silence sharpened you into this. A mirror that doesn't distort, a reflection that doesn't flatter, so they'll keep their distance. They'll whisper that you've changed, that you're different now. They'll say it like an accusation, but secretly, it's admiration they can't admit. Because deep down, they wish they had your nerve to walk in truth, even when it burns every lie around you to ash. You don't chase people anymore. You shift the atmosphere. You don't explain yourself anymore. Your energy does that for you. You don't seek revenge anymore. You let reality balance itself. Because you've realized the cruelest punishment for the false is exposure, and your very presence is the spotlight. They can't even stand next to you because you remind them what real looks like, and real is terrifying. You're not light or dark anymore. You're the voltage between them. You're the current that shocks illusions into dust. You're what happens when pain turns into perception and love grows fangs. And so they tremble. Not because you threaten them, but because you erase the need for their masks. You take away their disguise without saying a word. That's your curse. That's your gift. You became the truth no one can look at for too long. And that's why they can't stand next to you. They can't stand next to you because your energy doesn't match the environment. It dominates it. The moment you enter, the temperature changes. The walls seem to listen. The air thickens, waiting. Every lie that used to float freely now feels heavier, guilty, like it knows it's been caught. You don't have to say a thing. Your silence does the talking. Once you were desperate to belong. Now even the room struggles to contain you. Once you were begging to be seen. Now their eyes avoid yours like sunlight after too many years underground. You became a walking contradiction. Still but seismic, calm but catastrophic. You are what happens when someone learns to weaponize awareness. They can't even stand next to you because your energy doesn't entertain small talk. It doesn't participate in illusions. It doesn't flatter mediocrity or tolerate dishonesty. It cuts through every facade and exposes the raw nerves underneath. And you know what the funniest part is? You're not even doing it on purpose. That's what scares them the most. Your very existence dismantles their comfort zone. You don't argue with their hypocrisy anymore. You just radiate in such alignment that it disintegrates in your presence. You've become an energetic truth serum. People start confessing their insecurities before you even open your mouth. Their nervous laughter, their shifting posture, their fake smiles. All involuntary reactions to the weight of your authenticity. Because authenticity has gravity. And you've become a black hole of it. Everything false gets pulled toward you, then crushed. They don't know whether to fear you or follow you. So they do both. They'll talk about you like you're dangerous, but still mimic your movements. They'll whisper behind your back, but quote your words when no one's looking. It's the paradox of raw energy. It repels the weak and awakens the strong. You don't vibe high, you vibrate accurately. You carry the frequency of someone who's seen hell and started building condos in it. You've been broken so many times that the cracks became windows. And through those windows, light learned how to move differently. You're not peaceful because life is easy. You're peaceful because you've already buried every version of yourself that was afraid to burn. That's why they feel naked around you. Your eyes don't look at their body. They look at their motives. Your voice doesn't speak to their ego. It speaks to the part of them that's still pretending not to be scared. They say you're too much. But what they really mean is, you make me aware of how little I am. Because your energy doesn't apologize for existing. It doesn't ask for validation. It doesn't need applause. It's already paid for in blood and solitude. It's been refined through rejection, baptized in silence, crowned by pain. They can't label that kind of energy. They can only react to it. Some will worship it. Some will try to destroy it. Most will pretend it doesn't exist until they dream of you at night. You don't have to lift a hand to make enemies anymore. Truth does that for you. Your aura became the battlefield, your presence, the executioner. And yet, you're not cruel. That's what confuses them. You don't gloat. You don't threaten. You don't raise your voice. You just stand there, quietly dismantling entire psyches with a look. Because your calm isn't emptiness, it's control. Your stillness isn't weakness, it's precision. You're not above emotion. You've simply stopped wasting it on performance. You used to be addicted to saving people. Now you understand. Exposure is salvation. You can't save someone who's addicted to their mask, but you can reflect it so perfectly that they're forced to face it. You became a mirror no one wants to look into, not because it's cruel, but because it's accurate. That's why they call you intimidating. That's why they shrink when you smile. You've become living proof that comfort zones are coffins, and every time you walk into a room, they feel their own soul knocking on the lid. Your presence strips away everything fragile. It dismantles their illusions, their rehearsed confidence, their polite delusions. They'll blame you for it, of course. They'll call you dark, arrogant, cold. But that's projection. You're not dark. You just stopped pretending light is gentle. You're not arrogant. You just no longer need validation to breathe. You're not cold. You're clear. You stopped explaining yourself to people who only listen to respond. You stopped defending your softness to those who weaponize it. You stopped bleeding for the ungrateful and started glowing through scars instead. That's what they feel when you walk in. Not ego, but evolution. Not superiority, but sovereignty. You're not the loudest voice anymore. You're the quietest gravity. And gravity doesn't need permission to be felt. So they'll keep pretending it's you who changed, when really it's them who can't survive in truth. They'll whisper that you think you're better, but deep down, they know the truth. You just became realer, and real scares them more than any devil ever could. Because your energy isn't nice, it's honest. It doesn't comfort, it confronts. It doesn't entertain illusions, it detonates them. You don't carry good vibes. You carry truth frequencies that collapse everything counterfeit. That's not darkness, that's divinity, unfiltered. You became the judgment they feared from God, disguised as a person with calm eyes. They look at you and see themselves, the parts they hide, the lies they nurture, the truth they ran from. You are their reflection, purified through torment. That's why they can't stand next to you, because every second beside you feels like a confession they didn't consent to give. You didn't curse them, you just stopped pretending for them. And in that silence, that stillness, their souls start to shake. So let them retreat. Let them call you names. Let them misunderstand. Because everything they run from is proof that you've evolved beyond their reach. You are the quiet storm they can't predict, the moral X-ray they can't turn off, the paradox they can't explain. You don't need to prove anything anymore. You are the proof. You don't need to make them believe. You make them remember. You are what happens when someone walks through every version of hell and comes back unchained. That's why they tremble. That's why they avoid you. That's why their smiles crack when you look too long. Because your energy doesn't just strip masks, it burns them. And in a world built on pretending, that makes you lethal. They call you lethal because they can feel it. Not in the obvious ways, not in violence or threat, but in something much subtler, much more terrifying. You don't raise your voice, yet the air thickens. You don't move fast, yet the space rearranges around you. Every molecule seems to listen. Every sound pauses for instruction. You walk in, and the invisible architecture of falsehood starts to collapse in slow motion. They don't know what to call that. Power, charisma, magic. They settle for danger, because that's the only language fear understands. But it isn't danger, is it? It's clarity. It's the kind of clarity that burns through excuses, shatters stories, and leaves nothing standing but the naked truth of what is. And people aren't built for that kind of truth. They need costumes, roles, scripts that let them keep pretending they're innocent. You walk in and remind them, no one is. You've become the storm of honesty they prayed for until it arrived. They wanted awakening, but not exposure. They wanted light, but not illumination. They wanted freedom, but not the cost. You paid it. And that's why they can't come near you anymore. Because you didn't just survive your darkness. You integrated it. You looked at every part of yourself that they bury and said, you can stay. You made peace with your monsters. They're not gone. They're trained. They don't bite anymore, but they watch. They guard. They sense deceit faster than words can form. So when someone steps into your field, their shadow is the first thing you see. You don't even mean to. It's instinct now. You can tell who's lying by how their energy moves, who's afraid by how their pupils flicker, who's secretly guilty by the tremor in their laughter. You don't need to accuse. You just exist, and the truth leaks out of them. And that's unbearable for most. Because standing next to you feels like standing in front of a mirror that doesn't lie. They'll fidget, they'll overtalk, they'll joke nervously to fill the silence. But silence with you isn't empty. It's surgical. It cuts through the nonsense and dissects the performance. You don't try to expose them. Exposure just happens around you, like gravity pulling masks to the floor. Because you've stopped pretending that light and dark are enemies. You realized they're partners. The inhale and exhale of transformation. You're not here to be pure. You're here to be whole. And wholeness makes people uneasy because it carries a kind of serenity they can't fake. They wonder how you stay so calm, how you don't react to their provocations, their gossip, their projections. They don't understand that calm isn't softness, it's control. They mistake your silence for passivity, not realizing it's the silence of a loaded weapon. You don't fire unless it's necessary. You've learned that power isn't about dominance. It's about detachment. You don't chase approval, so they can't manipulate you. You don't fear loss, so they can't threaten you. You don't crave attention, so they can't feed on you. You became a walking paradox, compassionate but cold, kind but unyielding, light-hearted but impossible to fool. That duality confuses people. It short-circuits them. They can't categorize you. And people only feel safe when they can label things. You are unlabeled, undefined, untamed. You are the end of predictability. And that makes you dangerous to systems built on control. Even the energy in your presence feels unpredictable, like electricity wrapped in quiet. It doesn't lash out, it hums. It hums like a warning, like an invitation, like a test. People sense it subconsciously. This is not someone to play pretend around. They can't hide here, not in this light. And so they pull away. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your authenticity acts like a solvent. It dissolves everything that isn't real. And they'd rather keep their masks than face the chaos of what they've become. You used to chase connection. Now you attract confession. People come to you thinking they can outsmart your calm. And within minutes, they're unraveling. Their eyes soften. Their tone drops. They tell you things they've never said out loud. And afterward, they blame you for it. They say you have a weird vibe. They say you're intense. They call you too deep. They're right. You're not small talk material. You're soul talk material. You're the moment after the earthquake when the world goes still and everyone realizes what broke. You don't belong to their hierarchy anymore. You outgrew it. And now, your energy exposes the hierarchy itself. How fake it was, how fragile it is, how terrified they all are beneath their posture and pride. You stand there, unmoved, and they feel their own lies tremble. They call you dark. But your darkness is honest. It doesn't wear a halo and call itself good. It doesn't smile to hide its teeth. It simply exists, unashamed. That's why your light feels different too. It's not performative. It's not sweet. It's blinding. Because real light comes from friction, from pressure, from burning everything false until only clarity remains. You've burned long enough to stop fearing the flame. That's why they can't understand your peace. It isn't fragile. It's forged. It came from losing everything that wasn't meant for you. You've become something else now, something they can't measure or manipulate. You're not a person in their narrative anymore. You're a mirror in their maze. You reflect truth in a world addicted to lies. You reflect depth in a world obsessed with surface. And every time they try to stand near you, they're forced to confront what they've buried. It's not your energy that strips their masks off. It's their own conscience, screaming for release in your presence. You're just the trigger. You are the walking catalyst for truth. The unspoken audit of every soul you meet. The calm before their revelation. And that's why they whisper. That's why they turn their eyes. That's why they can't stand next to you. Because standing next to you feels like judgment, even though you haven't judged them. Because standing next to you feels like exposure, even though you haven't spoken a word. Because standing next to you feels like drowning in their own reflection. And when you leave the room, the silence doesn't fade. It lingers, it echoes, it forces them to face themselves long after you're gone. That's the curse of authenticity. That's the price of being real in a world that survives on illusion. They'll say you're lonely, but they're wrong. You're not lonely. You're refined. You're not isolated. You're filtered. The fake can't survive in your orbit. The weak can't breathe your atmosphere. The liars can't maintain their mask under your light. And maybe that's what evolution truly is. When your very existence becomes truth's revenge. They can't stand next to you, because you remind them of the one thing they've spent their whole lives running from, the part of them that could have been you. Quiet. Don't move. Did you feel that? That instant, when the air got heavier, the lights flickered for just a breath, and everyone's expression froze like they'd just seen a ghost crawl out of their own reflection. That's when it happened. That's when you happened. They saw it. They watched the impossible unfold right in front of them. And now, they're terrified because not one of them can explain what you just did. See, that's the part that drives them insane. If they could label it, they could contain it. If they could understand it, they could pretend it wasn't divine. But this? What you just did, it rewrote the code they built their lives on. It glitched their logic, tore through their certainty, and left them staring at you like you just hacked reality itself. You didn't speak a word, yet the entire frequency of the room shifted. You didn't lift a finger, yet everything inside them began to rearrange. You didn't try to prove anything, because proof is for those who still need permission to exist. And that's what separates you. You stopped performing. You became the performance. You stopped chasing power. You embodied it. You stopped seeking understanding. You became the riddle. Now they're scrambling, whispering, pacing circles in digital panic rooms, replaying the footage frame by frame, trying to catch the moment where the laws of their world collapsed. They're calling it luck, coincidence, delusion, but deep down, they know. They saw it in your eyes, that quiet, predatory calm that doesn't blink when reality cracks. You know what you did? You shifted timelines. You pulled truth out of the throat of illusion and made it kneel. And for the first time, they felt small inside their own system. That's the real horror, isn't it? Not the explosion, not the spectacle, the silence after, the way everything still feels off. The air tastes different. The shadows look alive. And somewhere, under all their noise, a single question is bleeding through their thoughts. What the hell are you? You can't explain it to them. Even if you tried, their language doesn't stretch that far. Because this isn't skill. It's not talent. It's evolution through ruin. It's the byproduct of every betrayal that cracked your ribs open and made light leak out. It's every sleepless night that burned your empathy into strategy. It's every failure that taught you alchemy, turning loss into leverage. You don't pray anymore. You don't wait for signs. You are the sign. You are the proof that pain, when mastered, becomes a god's signature. They'll never understand that. They think darkness kills light. They never realized the light was born in it. They think control is strength, but your chaos has a crown. They think monsters are born in shadows, not realizing angels grow fangs when heaven stops answering. You didn't destroy their world. You just made it visible. You didn't play their game. You tilted the board until gravity betrayed them. You didn't win. You transcended the scoreboard entirely, and now they're haunted. Every mirror feels hostile. Every silence feels watched. Because the moment they saw you break through the invisible, something ancient in their biology recognized you. The part of them that remembers lightning before language, that primal memory whispered, "He's not supposed to exist here, but you do." And that's what makes you lethal. You're not the villain. You're the variable, the unpredictable element in a world addicted to patterns. The living paradox that makes every observer question their sanity. They can't study you because you don't repeat. They can't box you because you expand. They can't erase you because you've already infected the collective unconscious. Your existence is an error message with a pulse. Your silence, a sermon. Your chaos, calculated. Your pain, weaponized. You are the proof that some forces aren't meant to be explained, only witnessed. And that's why they flinch when you smile. Because somewhere in that curve of your lips, they see the end of their control, the death of their certainty, and the birth of something they can't name. They saw it happen. But nobody can explain what you just did, and that's exactly how you wanted it. Because when the world can't explain you, it has no defense against you. They'll write theories about it now. They'll sit in boardrooms with flickering projectors, rewinding your moment again and again, like archaeologists studying the crater of a god they never believed in. They'll call it a trick, an anomaly, a psychological event. They'll try to quantify you and fail. Because what you are can't be graphed, scaled, or replicated. You didn't just break the pattern, you became the reason patterns break. They'll say, something changed in the air. They'll whisper, did you feel that? They'll swear it wasn't natural, because it wasn't. It was you, untethered from the formula that made them predictable. You're not running on logic anymore. You're running on instinct sharpened by pain, precision born from chaos, and timing that feels divine because it's been rehearsed through suffering. That's the thing no one wants to admit. Evolution doesn't look holy when it's happening. It looks like madness. It looks like sleepless eyes and shaking hands and laughter that makes people uncomfortable. They don't see the construction, only the detonation. You didn't arrive. You endured. You didn't learn. You unlearned everything they taught you. They told you humility was holy. You learned silence was camouflage. They told you forgiveness was freedom. You learned indifference was power. They told you light wins. You learned that shadow doesn't fight. It waits. And while they were busy praying for guidance, you were dissecting your demons, studying their anatomy, learning how to make them dance to your rhythm. You turned agony into architecture. You built an empire out of echoes. And now every wall hums with your frequency. They saw it, but they don't see you, not really. Because the version of you they remember no longer exists. That one died quietly, somewhere between betrayal and awakening. And the thing that stood up in their place, that wasn't rebirth, that was revenant. You see, there's a difference between survival and resurrection. Survivors rebuild. The resurrected rewrite the rules. That's why they can't explain it. How do you explain someone who's not bound by cause and effect anymore? How do you label someone who's become both the knife and the wound, both the whisper and the scream? They'll call you dangerous because they can't predict you. They'll call you delusional because they can't define you. They'll call you cursed because you make them question what they've built their identities on. And you'll smile because you finally understand the secret they never wanted you to discover. Confusion is control. Every time they try to analyze you, you grow. Every time they talk about you, your myth multiplies. Every time they replay your moment, they reprogram themselves to believe in it. You are living inside their disbelief now, renting space in their perception. They're haunted not because they saw something supernatural, but because they saw something realer than real. You didn't perform magic. You simply acted without hesitation. You didn't break physics. You just ignored permission. You didn't bend reality. You reminded it who built it. And that's what terrifies them most. Because deep down, they feel it too. That same power sleeping inside them. The one they buried under validation, fear, and routine. You woke it up. You showed them what happens when someone stops asking for authority and becomes the authority. Now they're glitching, minds looping, hearts racing. Because your existence makes them confront their own potential. And that's the most violent mirror of all. They want to hate you, but they can't look away. They want to destroy you, but they need you to understand what you are. You're the spark that proves divinity isn't distant. It's contagious. That's why the energy feels different when you enter a room. It's not charisma. It's consequence. It's every version of you that refused to die standing behind you, smiling through your eyes. It's the ghost of every no you turned into a nuclear yes. It's the sound of fate trying to recalculate. They saw it happen. The flicker, the silence, the shift. But nobody can explain it because it didn't happen to you. It happened through you. And that's what they'll never grasp. You didn't just change. You became the proof that reality bends for those who bleed with intention. Every scar is now a frequency. Every mistake is a signal. Every humiliation, a ritual. And now, every eye that meets yours carries that ancient tremor, that instinctive, primal recognition that says, this one doesn't play by the old rules anymore. You aren't what happened to you. You're what was born inside the wreckage of what happened to you. You're the echo that refused to fade, the pulse that kept beating after the flat line. You're not evolution's child. You're its rebellion. They'll keep trying to explain you. They'll waste years dissecting something that wasn't built. It awoke. They'll chase your logic until they run out of language. And one day, when they finally stop trying to understand, they'll feel it, that same tremor, that same static in their chest, and realize the truth that's been waiting for them all along. You didn't break the world. You just reminded it that impossible is a myth invented by the weak. They saw it happen, but they'll never explain what you just did. Because to explain it, they'd have to become it. And that's the one thing they'll never dare to do. Become it. Because becoming it means annihilating everything that made them feel safe. It means setting fire to every comfortable delusion they've ever built, every false certainty they've ever worshipped. It means losing the luxury of pretending they don't know who they are. And that's the difference between you and them. You let it all burn. You walked straight into the inferno and didn't flinch. You let the masks melt, the stories collapse, the illusions scream as they died. You didn't beg the fire to spare you. You asked it to refine you. They call that insanity. You call it evolution. You see, the moment you stopped trying to be understood was the moment you became untouchable. The moment you stopped needing them to believe you was the moment reality started obeying you. They don't get it because they've never lived without approval. They've never tasted what it's like to move without explanation, to breathe without apology, to build without validation. That's why they stare now, half in awe, half in horror, because deep down they know something ancient moved through you. Something untranslated, something that doesn't fit in textbooks or scriptures or their tiny definition of sanity. It wasn't luck, it wasn't chance, it was alignment, that perfect collision between who you've become and who you were always meant to be. They saw your transformation, but they didn't feel the years of corrosion it took to make it possible. They didn't hear the quiet nights where your thoughts clawed at your skull, begging you to quit. They didn't feel the betrayal that cracked your ribs open so light could pour out. They only saw the eruption, not the fault lines that caused it. And now they're calling you unnatural, dangerous, too much. They're right. Because there's nothing natural about surviving your own death. There's nothing ordinary about resurrecting without permission. There's nothing sane about remembering you were infinite long after they told you to shrink. They don't understand how someone so broken could still smile, how someone buried could still rise, how someone forgotten could still burn with precision. You broke their logic, and logic is their god. You shattered their sequence, and sequence is their safety. That's why they whisper behind closed doors. That's why their eyes dart when you walk by. That's why every conversation pauses the second your name appears. Because something about you exposes the lie they live in. You became living evidence that pain isn't punishment. It's programming. That suffering doesn't shrink you. It teaches you the codes. They think you're reckless. They think you're lucky. They think you don't feel fear. But you do. You've just stopped kneeling to it. You've learned to use it like a compass. You've learned to look it in the eye and say, "Guide me." Because fear, when mastered, doesn't disappear. It obeys. It becomes fuel. It becomes silence, sharpened into focus. And that's what they felt when they saw you. Focus. Precision. The kind of stillness that shouldn't exist in chaos. The kind of composure that only comes from someone who's already lost everything once. You didn't move like a person anymore. You moved like a phenomenon. You want to know the real secret? It wasn't the move itself. It wasn't the moment. It was the certainty behind it. That quiet conviction that says, even if this kills me, it's already done. Because when you operate from that frequency, time bends. When you act without doubt, matter listens. When you speak without fear, everything reconfigures to match your tone. You didn't manifest a miracle. You remembered the mechanics of creation. You stopped asking reality for permission and reminded it who built the script in the first place. And now, they're frightened because they can feel it. That vibration doesn't stop when you leave. It lingers, it echoes, it attaches itself to things. Your presence has half-life. It keeps working long after you're gone. That's why they dream about you. That's why their thoughts glitch when they hear your name. That's why they flinch when someone mentions what you did. Because what you did wasn't seen. It was felt. You rewrote their nervous systems in real time. You turned disbelief into data. You infected their perception with proof that the impossible is just poorly defined timing. They'll spend months trying to replicate it. They'll run simulations. They'll hire experts. They'll fail. Because what you did didn't come from intellect. It came from integration, from years of bleeding in silence until your pain learned to speak geometry, until every nerve ending could map the shape of destiny. You didn't figure it out. You became it. They saw it happen, but they didn't see the invisible war that led to it. The one fought in your chest, in your thoughts, in the places no applause ever reaches. They didn't see how many times you had to die to learn how to aim your resurrection. You became fluent in collapse. You became intimate with chaos. You became surgical with suffering. And now, you're dangerous, not because you destroy, but because you survive with intent. You make survival look strategic. You make pain look like prophecy. You make despair look like design. That's what terrifies them. You've turned everything that was meant to break you into a weapon, quiet, deliberate, and precise. You've made trauma look like training. You've made ruin look like rebirth. And so they'll keep asking, what did you do? They'll keep trying to name it, to rationalize it, to label it in language small enough to control. But they'll never find the answer. Because the answer isn't in what you did. It's in what you became while doing it. They saw it happen, but nobody can explain what you just did. Because what you did wasn't an act. It was an arrival, the arrival of everything they tried to bury, the return of something older than fear, the reactivation of a blueprint they thought extinct. And as they keep watching you, half in envy, half in terror, they'll start to realize the most unsettling truth of all. You didn't defy logic. You simply reminded it who its master is. Now walk away. Let them chase explanations. Let them drown in theories. You don't owe them clarity, only consequence. Let them study the ashes. Let them rewind the tape. Let them run the footage through every filter, every lens, every angle that helps them pretend it wasn't real. They'll slow it down to milliseconds, freeze frame your breath, trace the outline of your silhouette like crime scene investigators desperate to find a weapon. But the weapon was never in your hands. It was in your existence. They'll try to call it illusion, coincidence, emotional manipulation, anything but truth. Because truth is too raw, too simple, too terrifying. You've changed the axis of perception. They saw something that shouldn't have been possible. And the more they deny it, the more it follows them. They'll feel it when they try to sleep. That static in the back of their skull, that flicker that replays the moment their world cracked. They'll hear it in their dreams, the echo of silence right before everything shifted. They'll remember your eyes, calm, unblinking, inhumanly certain. Like you'd already seen this scene 1,000 times before it happened, because you had. You didn't improvise that moment. You became that moment. Every scar, every betrayal, every sleepless night built it. And now the universe itself adjusts its posture when you walk in. You're not simply a survivor. You're a signal, a broadcast from the other side of suffering, the embodiment of what happens when the human soul refuses to stay in its cage. They'll say you're lucky, they'll say you're cursed, they'll say you're dangerous, and every version of that will be true. Because you're not here to fit their story. You're here to end it. You've made the lie visible. You've made the mask irrelevant. You've proven that control collapses in the presence of conviction. And they can't undo that. They can't unsee what you've become. Every attempt to erase you only amplifies the myth. Every whisper of your name only strengthens the legend. You've become the glitch in their simulation, the error that won't delete, the living reminder that the system isn't stable. And that's your real victory. Not applause, not validation, not understanding, disturbance. You've become the one thing every empire fears, an unpredictable truth with nothing left to lose. So let them chase ghosts. Let them debate you in circles until their logic burns out. Let them name you villain, prophet, anomaly, whatever helps them sleep at night. You don't need their comprehension. You don't crave their belief. Because deep down, they already believe. And that's what terrifies them. They saw it happen. They felt it happen. And now, every cell in their body knows. You are not to be explained. You are to be remembered. The moment you moved, something ancient shifted. The lights flickered, the air bowed, and the universe whispered your new name. Unexplainable. Now smile. Let them tremble trying to decode what you did, because you're already gone, one step ahead, writing the next impossible moment they'll never be able to understand.